Hi there guys, it's Anthony here from Cutting Edge Guitar. Today's video is another recommended album video for you, and today we are talking about the mighty Joe Satriani and the album Surfing with the Alien. Now, there will probably be loads of you guys watching this going, as if you're telling us about this album that came out in 1987. We've all heard it, we all know the score and all the rest of it. I actually have loads of students coming by either the studio or people I'm teaching in schools or up and down the country online or all of these different things. I teach a lot of people, okay? And I cannot believe how many people still have not heard this album. Um, as far as instrumental guitar goes, Joey's got to be the most famous of them all, and this album has got to be the most famous of his albums. It's sold tons of copies. It's got so many big hits on there. Satch Boogie's on there, obviously Surfing with the Alien itself, Always With Me, Always With You. I mean, absolute Joe Satriani bangers are on this album. Um, a bit like I said about Guthrie Govan's album, this was a bit of a game changing album for me as a youngster. I remember how I got into Joe. I was actually a huge Metallica fan. Hence why you can probably see that picture on the wall that I've got over there of Kirk Hammett. A lot of people come into my studio, right, and they're like, I've got pictures all around here of like Guthrie, I've got Joe on the wall, I've got Yngwie on the wall, I've got Paul Gilbert, I've got Richie Kotzen. I've got pictures all around my studio of all like my favourite guitar players, and then Kirk Hammett's up there, and I get sometimes a bit of a cross-eyed look at that kind of, why have you got Kirk Hammett up there? And I'm like, well, it's kind of, all these pictures are a timeline of my idols, and Kirk was the first guitar player that I really obsessed over. The story, of course, goes that as you're reading the interviews and you're researching about somebody, you find out that Kirk's had lessons with this guy called Joe Satriani. And you think, I'm 15 years old. I think Kirk Hammett is absolutely like the don of guitar. But then I'm like, well, if he's had lessons from somebody, who the hell was that guy? So then this is the album that you start checking out. So Surfing with the Alien, that was always the one, that was the first album that I checked out. Satch has put out a massive back catalogue of music, but this was just the one that caught my attention because I loved the song Surfing with the Alien. That was the thing. Surfing with the Alien itself is a brilliant tune. Shall I tell you what was a very interesting thing with this though? This is a completely instrumental guitar album, okay? Now, I was coming from a background where I was listening to a lot of metal music, which is, there's flashy guitar solos in there, but most of the time it's vocal all the way through. With this, I was listening to it all and I was really into it, and I'm listening. And I'm just like, it's really good. And it gets to the end of the tune and I'm like, oh, where's the singing? It's sort of it. Remember that hitting me at the time. I was like, that's really odd. Like a song where there's no singing. I mean, obviously, being a much older, much more experienced musician and music fan and all those sorts of things, the idea of listening to instrumental music is very familiar. But when I was really young, I don't think I'd ever heard anything that, other than classical music and all the rest of it, of course, but I'd never heard rock that didn't have vocal on it. So I listened to this and I was like, do you know what? Where I'm at as a guitar player, I'm starting to become that lead guitarist. I was playing in a band with some mates at school and everything, and I was taking over lead guitar duties. And I was like, my favourite part is when I get to do the guitar solo. So, what a cool idea that you make the guitar solo the entire song. That's just cool, right? Um, Obviously, it's not just as egocentric as that. Satriani's music is not guitar soloing from beginning to end, because there is a melody, there's an obvious, melody section, then there's solos and that later on, etc. But to my young ears, I was like, oh wow, I'm just soloing for the whole song. That's really cool. Now, if you fast forward to a modern era where everyone's basically playing their guitars on YouTube and Instagram and stuff like that now, that thought process of making the guitar the whole thing is actually, it fits quite well into a modern time. I think something that is a bit missing though, and don't shoot me down for saying this, guys, but I think this is something that is a bit missing out there, is that it kind of has got to a point now where it is guitar solo over a backing track from beginning to end on a performance video, rather than exactly what's on this. And on this, there's songs, there's cool chord progressions, there's cool melodies, there's a point where there is an actual guitar solo, and then we disappear off into something else. Anyway, I think that every guitar player should own this album, because it is just mind-blowing. Even today, it stands up against everything else that's out there, because it's very, very musical. Okay, this is musical rock where the guitar takes center stage, and what could be wrong with that? There we go, guys. So that's my next recommendation, Surfing with the Alien by Joe Satriani. If you're enjoying this series so far, please do like the videos, subscribe to the channel so you get a notification the next time that I do one of these. Please do check out all of my other content that I'm putting up there. So every time that you watch one of my videos, check out the descriptions, because there's plenty of links to my tuition material. There's links to free lessons that I put up on my website and all this sort of stuff. So go and check that out, and have a look at everything that I'm creating for you guys. And I will see you in another video. Take care for now.